Dead beauty brands, we're talking about them again today. I recently did a video talking about brands that are gone forever, makeup brands that no longer exist. And in that video, I was using products from those brands. And you guys really liked that video. You guys want to talk about those brands that are no longer around. And I get it. It is nostalgic. It is, kind of sad, but we're like remembering what was. And if you've been in the beauty community a while, like sometimes it's just fun to reminisce back on the old days, old brands, things people were using. So that's what we're gonna do today. I got so much inspiration from you guys in the comments. You guys were just like rattling off brands. I was like, oh my god, yeah, oh my gosh, like how did we not talk about those in that video, honestly? So that's what we're gonna do while I just do a full face of just other existing things. But I can't lie, this video was also spurred on, like I thought you guys would like a part 2, but also I literally today just heard that Aether Beauty is shutting down. Oh, so sad. So this I'm gonna use on my eyes today as a little homage, a little, tribute to them. I mean, we talked about it in that past video, and there's this part about brands ending that is like just sad, it's like someone's dream, like that's how I look at it anyway. They created something, but it doesn't have to be forever. Like I think sometimes we think once something is started, like it must go on into perpetuity or it's like a failure, and that isn't the case either. And like things can have their run and their time, and it can be sad in that moment, but there's always like good new things too. I don't know. Am I getting too deep? I'm not sure. Let me put my little bangs back, and then let's like put some makeup on, talk about some of these brands. If you have other brands that I don't mention here too, leave them down below so we can talk about them again, because I feel bad that these brands are no longer here and now we're gonna talk about them. But hey, at least they existed at one point to talk about. All right, I have just skincare on right now, so I'm gonna prime. I'm using a new foundation. I'm like on new foundations, guys. I really am. I'm trying so many. I'm working like shade matching. I know I've probably talked about this way too much, but shade matching is like impossible. How do people shade match? I mean, I don't know. It's easier on someone else when you're like looking at them, but to shade match yourself, sometimes it's just like different lighting plays you. Anyway, I'm using this primer from Beauty Blender. They came out with some like priming products. They also have like a mist I'm kind of interested in, but I really love a lotiony kind of primer. And so far I've been liking this. It's more about, does it make me produce more oil? That is always the issue. But let's start. I think the first brand I want to talk about is the Marc Jacobs beauty brand, because this is one of those things that's like, oh yeah, that existed. That was like a thing people used a ton, and I feel like it was almost like, I don't know, I almost think of it like Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona together. And I really never got to try Marc Jacobs stuff at the time because I just didn't have the money for beauty. A lot of the beginning of my channel was trying not to buy a lot of beauty stuff at the time, and so I was super focused on trying not to bring that stuff into my life, and then thinking about those Marc Jacobs little palettes, like those long skinny, I want to say one was called like Stiletto. Oh my gosh, full on hair in my mouth. Ugh. Those little 7-pan palettes were so popular at the time, and I almost don't realize how much I actually didn't try some of that makeup back in the day. Like I was really about trying not, I mean, I still bought stuff, but compared to now, I'm like, wow, I missed out on a lot of makeup back then. The foundation I'm using is this stick one from Basma, and I have the shade 38. I used to love stick foundations. My face right now. I used to love stick foundations, but I'm not sure if they're for me anymore. I just need more moisture. I know I'm complaining constantly about the fact that my skin's oily, but also my skin's annoying. That's the thing. It doesn't play nicely with so much stuff. Like, I'm gonna use my fingers to help this, but I think this might be too light. Oh my gosh. That's what I'm saying. Either I go way too light or way too dark. It is so difficult to figure out like, what the heck am I? What am I now? Not to mention the fact that like my hand still looks pretty light, but like my chest, I try to sunscreen it, but it's like perpetually red. Just struggles over here. I'm trying to think about Marc Jacobs and the products that I have tried from the brand before they went under, and I honestly feel like it's weirdly like not as missed in the community, or I don't know if it's just me again, but yeah, like I just don't feel like it definitely didn't get the send off I feel like Becca did. in any way. I remember one of the collections that I thought was so cute and almost tempted me was this cherry collection. I'll try to put a picture of it if I can find it. And it was like in teal packaging, and it had like almost like a little cherry charm on the outside, I want to say. That was one of those things. But I think another reason why for me Marc Jacobs didn't hit very much is like, again, I didn't have the money. I wasn't at the time into luxury makeup, and I honestly feel like getting older has made me more into luxury makeup because I feel like those formulas, which don't get me wrong, you can use anything, any age, whatever you want to do, but I do feel like at the time my skin was younger and my preferences were just different. I liked a lot of color. I was looking for like more indie stuff, and the Marc Jacobs was more delivering like Dior, you know, like it was delivering that kind of designer beauty thing, which tends to be a little bit more subtle, a little bit more like natural makeup. And they also did a lot of cool tones at the time. I remember that also being a thing. And y'all know cool tones are only coming back more recently. I mean, for the longest time, if something wasn't like straight up orange, it was cool tone. If it wasn't orange, then it was just like ugly, or at least that's how I remember it. Like, I look back on things I counted as like warm neutrals back in the day, and I'm like, what the? That's not neutral. That's like literally a red shadow. What am I talking about? Okay, so besides the fact that I'm now ghostly pale, what the? At least my foundation looks like semi-decent. I don't know, guys. You know what I have been using as like a foundation, which I might use this to kind of give a little bit more coverage and also just kind of like bring me back from literally the dead right now. Like, I'm trying to like cosplay as these brands right now. Dead? Yikes. Okay, this is from Givenchy. It's the Prism Libre Skin Caring Concealer. This is in the shade W110. That's a thing, like I was saying, I like either go too much or not enough. But this one I feel like plays really nicely with my skin, so hopefully I can just kind of blend it on top with a brush and be good. Just kind of at least bring a little bit more warmth to my skin. Honestly, this video is not going how I expected already. It's like terrifying. Okay, back to Marc Jacobs. I'm trying to think of products that I did try. I know there's like a coconut, I don't know if it was a primer or if it was like a highlighter, but I want to say I like got that through like an Influencer box, which I don't really do Influencer anymore. But I've seen so many people get like lots of perfumes through Influencer, so maybe something to check out if you're trying to get some perfume to test out and you're willing to review it. It might be worth it. Oh my gosh, my skin looks horrible. You know, you just want to come on, do something fun, have a fun chat with people. And your foundation looks like this. It always like, this makes me feel like, do I even know makeup? But I do. You wouldn't know from this foundation application. Okay. I should have just used the House Labs foundation, but we're gonna salvage it. We're gonna, we will. We can do anything we put our minds to, guys. Where I was going with the cool tones is I just felt like so many of the palettes that Marc Jacobs did come out with, things that I maybe could have been interested in, all were a little more cool toned at the time, and I just wasn't into those colors at the time. We're just gonna warm it up. We're just gonna add some life to this thing. So to me, Marc Jacobs isn't that big of a miss, but I guess when it comes to Marc Jacobs, I'm not that surprised too, because I just don't hear nearly as much about the brand itself, like the actual fashion house. I mean, not that I'm like into fashion, let's get real, but I feel like it was talked about more in like the early 2000s and stuff, so it kind of, you know, makes sense. It kind of played itself out. But I'd love to know, did you have a favorite product from Marc Jacobs Beauty? Was there something you really loved? I remember like at one point Nikki Tutorials came on board as like the ambassador for a little bit, but I don't know, in my brain that didn't really personally help. Like, I know that fact and I think that's awesome, but I didn't notice it like bringing sales up or products much. Anyway, moving on from that brand, let us know your favorite Marc Jacobs Beauty product if you had one. Oh, I think the eyeliners are a big hit. I remember those being just like bulletproof, you know? One of the comments in brands that got me was NYC. I remember, this one's so nostalgic, and this is where I think it's like fun to reminisce about stuff, because if you were there, you were there. Like, hey, we were there together, just watching things through the screen. I was definitely not creating videos at this point, but the Sunny bronzer from NYC was the go-to. I mean, don't get me wrong, they had one shade, and I'm pretty sure it looked orange on most of us, but man, I remember that being like the go-to drugstore bronzer everyone wanted to talk about. Like, that was the cheapy product that everyone had in their collection. And I feel like if you were watching videos at the time and you didn't have a lot of money, it was like the thing you could go out and feasibly like try. I remember that being such a big thing. Like, I was so excited when e.l.f. became a brand. Like, I remember it like launching, like, and I was like, we need to go to Target. I need to look at these blushes. I remember getting all of the blushes. Oh, how fun was that? That was such a fun time. It was just exciting to like learn about makeup. I don't have like a history. I feel like so many people have like some figure in their life that wore a lot of makeup and they like watched them do that and that's how they got into it. And mine literally like started with the internet. Like, I did a little bit of like the emo thing in high school and stuff, but really like I got into beauty by watching beauty YouTube, like back in the day, 2011, 2010, you know, going into college. That was something I really just enjoyed, and I watched and I studied and I was fascinated, and I'm so grateful for that time, because truly that's where I am now and why I'm here. You know what I mean? Is because I found that passion, and that passion has stayed with me through time, and I'm so grateful for that. I know I'm going off a little bit, but this is just something that's been on my mind a little bit, and maybe we'll talk about it more in a different video. But I was talking about it with different creators when I was on my trip in Charleston, when we went on that kind of like influencer trip all together. But I was expressing how like I am so grateful to have something I'm passionate about, like to have a topic, a thing that I just genuinely love to the bottom of my soul. Like, I am so happy that I have that. And I think, you know, with all these times, the ups and downs of my life, what I've learned about myself, you know, just kind of my journey, if you will. You know, sometimes my relationship with makeup has been a little like all over the place, whatever. And I'm just, as I've gotten older, really coming to realize how, you know, special it is. Not everyone, oh my gosh, am I having like a booger outside my nose this whole time? Supposed to be a cute moment. Anyway, back to the passion. I'm just having more moments of being grateful for that passion, because first off, like, not everyone has like a thing they just love, that they just have a desire to learn more about, to be involved in, all of that. And I'm just so grateful to have this community, so grateful to have this as a thing that I like a driving factor in my life. Like, it's brought me so many opportunities, it's brought me so much joy, it's brought me so much friendship. Like, there's just so much amazing stuff that's come through having this kind of what some people would consider a flippant passion. And I think there's something about that, like that passion, there's like no reason why, like why makeup, I don't know, but that's what it is. And man, am I freaking happy about it. I am so happy. And I feel like, you know, for a while, I think I looked at that passion a little negatively, you know what I mean? Like, why do I have to have this obsession? But I think like there's good things. Obviously, you don't want to go out of control, and there's things to keep in track. And I don't mean passion only by like spending money, but I'm really grateful for it actually now. And I'm really happy to have it, because not everyone has it. And I think it's easy in the beauty space to also just feel like everyone loves makeup like this. And I can promise you not. Okay. Everyone else in my life does not. It does not relate like this. So we really are like a little unique family and community here, people. I love it. Okay. Anyway, look at all the nostalgia and the thoughts that came up just by thinking about the NYC Sunny bronzer, okay? I mean, I don't think we're really truly missing it. I'm not anyway, but it's definitely one of those key products that like unlocks memories for me in the beauty community. For sure, especially in those early days. Okay, the face is coming together a little bit more, like at least a little bit. I feel like this concealer really came through. I promise you though, the Givenchy one is good. It's just, I don't think I'm a stick foundation girl anymore. I need more slip or something. Like something was not working out. Plus it was making me look like pasty. We're continuing on bronzing up. We need this. We need this so badly. I really have been enjoying the reformulation of this Kosas bronzer. I haven't had hard pan yet, which is so exciting. And I just love a little luminous bronzer. I think it is so like life-giving and just looks really healthy and natural. And I'm really kind of going ham so we can like match a shoulder. Let's try to match a shoulder. Okay, let's go back to another kind of like hard-hitting oldie in the community, Coastal Scents. You guys, I was so sad when I saw that Coastal Scents was going out of business. That is also like when you go back to like old videos on YouTube, people are using like these big, huge, either BH Cosmetics palettes or Coastal Scents palettes. Like that is how you got color. There was no other way really, maybe MAC stuff, but it was just very difficult to find really pigmented colors. I'm not even saying they were the best quality at the time, but if you wanted to have a rainbow eye, you wanted something with a pink or a green or a blue, those big old like 88 palettes were the things to go for. And I think something about like the weirdness of brands kind of closing down is like, if you come into a space and they're already like established, they already feel so permanent almost, you know? Like I felt like with Coastal Scents, like why would it fail? Like I just don't even see that being a possibility. So hearing that it's closing down is like, what? Like stop. What? How could that be a thing? I think that's a lot of the time the thing that kind of comes up, especially if you really look at a brand and see them as like an authority in a space, or you really love their products, or, you know, it just feels so professional that you're like, how is this even a possibility? That's definitely how I was feeling with Coastal Scents. I loved their hot pods. We're gonna get into that, but first, I have to use Evaporate and I want to give it its love. This is from Phytosurgeons. I cannot put this thing down, okay? I love this blush so much. I also have Fume, but I'm like about to buy every blush they have. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I love this cream blush so much. At this point, I'm like forcing myself to use other things. But if you've been here a long time, you know how much I loved the Hot Pot singles from Coastal Scents. I do a lot, well, I used to, right? I want to get back to doing some of the kind of build your own palette things because I think it's just so fun and creative and I love just playing with color like that. But I would dupe out palettes all the time back in the day, and a lot of the time I was using Coastal Scents shadows. They would do their Hot Pots, which that's just like a single like shadow that isn't in any type of packaging, but they would do sales on those where they were $1 a piece. And especially for at the time, like it was good quality. It was at least decent quality. Some things weren't the best, but the shimmers were amazing quality and they were just a great way to save money. And I was into it. I loved a deal. I've talked about this before, but I was an all cosmetics wholesale girly, okay? And if you don't know what that is, that was a website back in the day that would, you know, sell just probably expired. When I think back, I'm like, definitely expired. But they would sell off just different makeup, older collections, and you'd get it at a discount. And at that time, makeup did not go on sale like it does now. Like, you know, all these brands are closing because it was like this big bubble and the bubble's just kind of contracting a little bit. It's just a smaller community now, at least somewhat. I mean, I know other places are popping. At least on YouTube, I feel like the community's kind of just, you know, contracted a little bit, just gotten a little cozier. But back in the day, before kind of this bigger bubble, makeup just didn't go on sale. Like, you couldn't get anything on sale. Everything was kind of the price it was, especially high-end stuff, MAC stuff, all that. Like, no. You were spending tons and tons of money. So it was a great way to save money, and I love a deal. I love a deal so much. Okay, let me get my eyebrows on because, you know, we're salvaging it. We're definitely getting to we're in a better place than we were. It was dark times before, but at least I think we can manage at this point. And voila, definition on my face. Oh my gosh. It's amazing what brows and a little mascara can do for me. Okay, I hope my brows, I don't know why this one looks so much darker, but it is what it is. I don't think it actually is in person. Anyway, I think one of the things though, when I'm like trying to think of like, why did Coastal Scents go under, which I'm just postulating out of my brain. Like, I don't really know anything. I'm not behind the scenes like that. I don't really know. I'm just speculating. But I feel like with Morphe coming on, they kind of were like a similar formula or like business model in a way, like kind of doing the single shadows / doing the bigger palette. And I really think if Coastal Scents had gotten on influencer marketing earlier, that would have really helped. Like, love it or hate it, that is just kind of the way that things have gone and are. So I think if they had latched onto that a little bit more or had more roots in that, it could have helped a lot. But also I think them coming out with more individual products and like kind of expanding from an initial start of like the single shadows and those bigger, you know, I guess I'll call them generic palettes, and doing something more. I know they like duped the naked palettes at the time, but like everyone duped the naked palettes at the time. But if they had come out maybe with some more custom stuff, kind of kept expanding, maybe that would have helped. But I don't know if they even wanted to do that. And that's kind of the thing with some of these businesses too. It's like not all businesses even want to try to go forever. You know what I mean? Like some people want to just do their run, have a good time while they do it, and then be done. And I think that is totally fine too. Like I was kind of saying at the beginning, it's like not everything has to just like exist into perpetuity. And I know it can still be sad though, because it might not always be people's choice, and there are so many circumstances that you can't control. And I think especially with COVID and all of that, like that was just such a huge thing to so many industries, and the makeup industry as well, and the beauty industry for sure. So along with that kind of like aiding in the decline, I feel like, of makeup in general, like it definitely changed the trends that were happening. But with that, let's get into the Aether palette. I'm going to be using this one. This is the Citrine Crystal Quad. So pretty. I really love this. So sad that this won't be around. I'm going to first go in with my bronzer though, actually, just so I have a little bit of a lighter look in my crease before I go in with the darker matte shade. I talked about like some of my favorite mini palettes in a video. We might even be coming up on a year for that video. Time goes so fast, but this quad was in there because I really do like it, and I just love that it's almost all shimmer. There's only one matte. It has some really pretty sparkle to it, and it's definitely sad. I feel so bad because one of you guys in the comments section actually were like, I don't think Aether is long for this world, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. I feel so, you know, sad that you were right, honestly. I try to put myself in the place of these brands, and it is so hard. Like, how do you time out releases? How many releases do you do? Especially if you're trying to be somewhat conscious and not just have a million launches. How do you, you know, stay relevant? How do you have enough launches to keep people interested and to have variety, so that even if someone doesn't want the first launch or this specific launch, they might want the next one. But also you don't want to do too many launches where no one is paying attention to your stuff because like, oh, next one, you know? It's like, that would be so difficult. I'm gonna go into the matte now and just put a little bit of that in my outer corner. When I say that, I really just mean like the outer part of my eye. Just really soft, kind of wispy like. I've only tried a few of the eyeshadows from Aether. I tried another quad and I didn't actually love that one, but the Citrine one I did so much, and I would definitely have looked forward to a next palette, you know, launch or something like that. But they definitely didn't have tons and tons of products, and I think that's, again, hard to strike that balance because it costs money to launch stuff. Like, you have to have the money to launch, and then you have to keep that, you kind of have to keep that ball rolling. It is, I can't imagine. I don't envy trying to figure out all those, like, logistics and trying to anticipate the market in some ways. Like, that would be so difficult. But look how pretty this is. Oh. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Hopefully the foundation looks better for you to be this close. I think I'm gonna go all the way warm today, and I'm gonna use this kind of honey bronze shade on my lid. It is so tough trying to apply eyeshadows now with my nails, but you guys, I don't think I can go back. I really don't. I have loved having nails, and what's so cool is almost all of these, except for this tiny little extension on my pointer finger, these are my real nails. They just put like the dip stuff over them. So it's not even like I have a fake nail on. It's just like kind of been made stronger, and it is so nice. I just I feel so girly. I feel so pretty. I just didn't know I was missing it. And trust me, I'm the last person I thought would say this stuff about nails, to be honest. Another downed beauty brand that I feel like is sorely missed is Bite Beauty. Bite kind of, you know, it's a similar time to me as Becca is what I think about it. You know, they came out with like these Changemaker, I think it was, like this line of foundations and, well, like skin tint, a powder, I think maybe a primer. And I was so excited to see them expanding at that time because before then they really were the lipstick brand. Bite Beauty, all about lips. They had their lip labs where you could make your custom lipstick, which was awesome. And I think was like a great way to kind of get in and start niche. And I felt like they had so much room and potential to expand to other products. And I felt like, you know, the products they were coming out with made sense for the time too, like the lighter coverage, a little bit more glowy, like all that. So I don't know why it did not do well. I guess I didn't buy those products, so maybe I'm part of the problem there, but I really thought that that was gonna go well, and then it's just done. I know from you guys, like I have heard in comments so much about the change in formula of the agave lip mask, I believe it is. Okay, I kind of think that's the look. Maybe I'll deepen up the outer corner the tiniest bit. The agave lip mask was a cult classic favorite product. Like this is before Laneige, okay? Or at least before Laneige was popular online in the same way. Like the agave lip sleeping mask was the product to have. I remember getting it and it would just like constantly ooze. I think that's the best way to put it. It was in like a metal tube that you could squeeze out, and if you were like trying to be good and like, you know, move the product up, it's just going to ooze out of the container constantly, continuously, and never stop. That's what I remember. But everyone else remembers how great that formula was. I believe the big issue everyone was having was that the old formula was made with lanolin, I believe, which is derived from sheep's wool. I don't really know, but it's an animal byproduct, so it's not vegan if lanolin is in your product. And Bite did make the change to go vegan, and so they had to reformulate that lip mask specifically. And from what I've heard, again in the comments, the lip mask was never the same. And so many people were like really upset with that. And I don't want to say that's what caused everything, but it definitely feels like some type of marker, like some type of something. I definitely wish I got to see more of what they could have done. You know, like I really wish I got to see a full line. I would have loved to see cream blushes from Bite. I would have loved to see cream bronzers or just bronzers and blushes in general, some highlighters. Like I think that would have been awesome, and I really wish we got to see what that would have looked like. But obviously, unfortunately, they are gone now. And what's so interesting, there is a lip lab here in California at a mall, and I was there recently, and it doesn't say Bite Lip Lab anymore. It just says Lip Lab, and I literally was so confused. I was like, what? It's not the Bite Beauty Lip Lab, it's just the Lip Lab. And I was like, is this a knockoff? Like, I literally was like, this can't be a knockoff. Like, this has to be the same thing. Like, it looks like it, but because it didn't have the Bite Beauty, I was like confused, but it's just called Lip Lab now. There's no more Bite even on that, which makes me, again, so sad. I kind of want to go get a lipstick. I think that'd be so fun. I'd love to know your guys' experience if you've ever went and like made a custom lipstick. How was that? Was it fun? Was it worth it? Should I get like friends together and do it? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know. I definitely have mascara on my lid there, but we're gonna keep going. I think the last brand I want to talk about is KKW, because this one I like literally kind of forgot about, and I laughed a little because I remember, do you remember the contour sticks, you guys? At the time, contouring was so big, and the contour sticks, like one side was highlighting, one side was like the more contour cool toned, but they were so tiny and they were like little fingernail sizes, and they would just whiff out of the container. Oh my gosh, I don't know why that made me laugh, but it really just gave me a chuckle, I'm not gonna lie. But I think something that's so interesting about the KKW stuff is like, for some reason, I don't feel the same, like, and I don't mean this like, the sadness isn't there as in like, I don't know if I just didn't have a connection to the brand as much, but also I just feel like with so many of the Kardashian brands, like I almost don't expect them to go forever. I almost expect them to be like, you know, around and doing their thing while it's popular and then moving on to whatever the next thing is. I almost like expect that. So it doesn't feel as like, oh, it's closed down and final in the same way. And I just thought that was like an interesting thing that it just, you know, I don't know, my brain thought of it differently. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, but like, I don't know if it's that I think the Kardashians think of it like a business, and so then I think of their thing as a business more, whereas like there's other brands where maybe I feel like more of a personal connection or whatever, you know, and so then I think of them like, no, you're closing down in a different way. I don't know, just an observation I had. Oh, I really love this look. Let me finish up my lips. I don't think I brought a lip liner, but the lip gloss I'm going to use today, I've been so obsessed, you guys, with these Summer Fridays balms. I have the vanilla one. I recently bought that, and I just love it. It is like glossy, hydrating, beautiful, plumping, oh, everything you want. And then this is a newer shade. This is the pink one. It is called Pink Sugar, and it finally came back in stock at Sephora, so I snatched it up. I kind of want some lip liner, but I guess we'll just see. I haven't put this on just bare lips. Well, this is like bare lips with a little foundation. Let's get real. But look how glossy that is. Like, this is the everyday lip, guys. This is it. I love it. I don't even think I'm gonna line, at least not for this video. Well, here is the final look. It came together. It really did. We got scared. We had some issues, but even the foundation looks pretty dang good now. You know? You just gotta see it through. You gotta just hold on tight and, you know, ride your way through the tribulations to get to something okay. And I feel like we got there in the end for this one. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to know any of your thoughts on those brands. And if you want to see, I guess, is this a part 3 at this point? Let me know down below. We could do that. But yeah, other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.